What's an immediate red flag that you are in a dangerous neighborhood? I was once driving to Chicago and it was late at night. Needed to get gas and took the first gas exit I saw. In some small city just south of Chicago, no idea where. While I was pumping gas, the police car pulled in and parked. Cop got out and looked at me. Tiny teenager who clearly wasn't from around there. He asked, "You got one of these?" and gestured to his firearm. I said, "No sir." He replied, "Don't recommend you stick around here much longer then." We got out of there ASAP. First time I was in Chicago, I decided to drive down Roosevelt from the Hines VA area to downtown. Okay for a while. Riverside, Cicero, then I noticed the area suddenly became much less quaint. Every other building was burnt down or knocked down. Local denizens were leaning over, peering into my car, wondering what the white guy in the government car was doing. It was a few miles of that, right until I got downtown. I took the freeway back to my room. Liquor and check cashing stores on every other block. In the US ghettos, people don't have basic income to afford to have a checking account, so many just cash their check and live out of their pocket from week to week. And when you're impoverished, you often want to numb the pain, so in comes the liquor stores. Then you have nothing but fast cheap food like Chinese takeout or fried chicken, McDonald's, because that's all people can afford in these areas. In my neighborhood, someone posted on Nextdoor that they woke up to someone standing over their bed. Then 2 days later someone else posted that a dude was walking around the street naked asking strangers if they wanted to touch his wee-wee. Oh, and car theft is so common that I no longer lock my car because it's financially smarter for me to let them have a look around than to pay for any more broken windows. I might be in a bad neighborhood. Look at the churches. As a general rule of thumb, the longer the church names are, the worse the neighborhood. Bonus points if the churches are tiny and only take up a storefront. Note the inverse is not necessarily true though. St. Vincent's Roman Catholic Church is not necessarily indicative of a good neighborhood, but St. Vincent the Holy Beloved and his Sacred Apostles' Church of the Lord Jesus Christ is a sign that you're deep in the hood. At least where I live, you can tell by the sidewalks. Half cement, half uneven hexagonal paving stones. Bonus points if the cement half has parts jutting up at an angle because it was poured directly over a tree root. Also the amount of graffiti, number of stickers on signs, and homeless people. That said, I love little 5 points and nothing will keep me from going. Unless Savage Pizza and Junkman's daughter closed down. Then I riot. My partner and I were meeting each other to go look at a house, and apparently the neighborhood was all on street parking because it took both of us forever to find a place to park. I'd say probably about 75 of all the car windows we passed were either smashed or tarp taped up. We met up in front of the house and just looked at each other and said nope. He called the agent to tell them not to bother coming. You noticed the immediate change. Move trash lines the streets. People outside playing games or drinking. Liquor stores within a mile or two of each other. Memorials and candles on multiple corners. People hanging out by the corner stores all day. Before moving into a neighborhood, I learned from my mom observe the area at night as well as in the day. We rejected a lot of places after visiting at night. Broken down stripped cars that have not been towed away is a sign the city doesn't care about the neighborhood, so a higher likelihood police response time will be longer. In Mexico, many adobe-style houses have flat roofs, so in rougher neighborhoods lots of houses have a few vicious dogs living on the roof patrolling the perimeter to scare off anyone thinking about scaling the wall. Look at the schools in particular. Are all the windows boarded up or barred up? Does the campus look bleak and buildings dilapidated? Also look into the school itself. What are the test scores, the graduation rates, etc.? Does it have a schoolyard or is it mostly concrete? How a community looks upon their kids is quite often the prime indicator of how the rest of the community lives. Concrete prefab terraced housing from the 70s. Houses have overgrown front garden with the occasional one with an old fridge or settee hiding in the grass. Every other house has a ratty football flag or St. George's cross hanging in or out of the window. Louds playing some crap music unnecessarily loud whilst hanging out the first floor window hollering at people walking by. Very young children who are out after dark in an urban environment who aren't playing, but rather just sitting around alone watching their surroundings without saying anything. No supervision, no laughter, just observing. Extra points if they have the 1,000-yard stare despite being a child. If there's several in there around 10-14, you may be about to be mugged. Look out! Young kids on corners or sitting on mailboxes who watch you as you enter the neighborhood and whistle to warn others that a stranger or worse is approaching. Took me a while to figure it out, but now it's one of the first things I notice. Also a bunch of guys hanging around an oil barrel fire in the middle of the street. That means you've gone too far. Houses falling apart, junk in the yards, fences broken, no children outside, gas station on the corner has bars on the windows, closest grocery store is 2 miles away, dudes just hanging out on street corners, brand new Escalade parked in a driveway of a crappy looking house, couch on the front porch, old tires on the roof, rusty chain link fence. Cops in Atlanta on foot patrol telling us that they don't let anybody hang out on the stoop of a building after midnight even if you are just smoking a cigarette. Few minutes later some guy walked up and told us we needed to move along and then lifted his shirt to show the pistol in his waistband. We went inside. Young kid or teen standing on street corners by themselves, with a car in the distance watching. I was also once taught that if you see someone sketchy coming towards you in a dark street and they're looking behind and around and here's no one else around, GTFO. They might be seeing if there's no witnesses. Folks openly soliciting sales is usually a good sign. You know you're in the right spot when folks ask if you need hard or raw. Fun times. In retrospect I noticed folks were hanging out in the streets at all times of the day, when most folks are working or sleeping. I kinda miss fucking with gangbangers tbh. No cars parked on the street filled with row houses. Dude on the corner his phone out and hand in pocket. Kids as young as like 3 playing outside at like 3 AM. The only business on the block still in business is the liquor store. The fast food joint has plate glass behind the counter. Just came back from Vegas for the first time and I was shocked by the amount of common items locked up in Target. Things like, all body soap is locked up, but you can grab your own shampoo. Laundry detergent is locked up but you can grab dryer wipes. No bathroom access. It's very hard to find a usable bathroom in the hood. Sometimes you can get it unlocked with a purchase. Also police inside a store can be an indicator. Not always, but in the worst parts they will have a constant police presence. In Canada, it would be tatty looking houses with unkempt grass plants as well as lots of litter in the yards and the street, and much of that litter would be empty cans of cheap, high alcohol beer mingled with the occasional syringe. Check cash loan store. Bus stop is covered in graffiti and are sleeping homeless people. Liquor stores everywhere it seems. All the houses stores business have metal bars on the windows. The church nearby has barbed wire fencing. Chris Rock said it best: if you enter a neighborhood at noon and you see men walking around in sweatpants, lifting weights in the front yard, and using a child's bike as their mode of transportation, you are in danger. Raggedy ass chain link fencing. Large pit bull per capita ratio, window bars, litter, people shooting at me, vampires floating about, Trump flags or banners, the howling of werewolves, yard tentacles, you know, the usual. When I was driving through Trenton at 11 PM and people were standing in the middle of the road in the dark, looking as we drove through. I mean Trenton was already the red flag, but GPS was like this looks safe. Apartment complex with 10 feet chain link fences and barbed wire on top. I saw that in downtown Detroit and I felt really sad because those people really don't get to enjoy a community like I had the privilege to do. Peeling paint on all the houses, overgrown yards, trash in yards in the street, bars on the windows, security doors, groups of teenagers just standing on the corner not doing anything, not headed anywhere. Check cashing pawn shop, check cashing liquor store, check cashing metro PCS, check cashing mine resistant ambush protected convenience store, check cashing shoe store, Dollar General. People actually walking around the neighborhood. Guys that are grown ass OG looking adults riding around on bicycles. People standing on the corner looking like a club there is not club there. It used to be seeing a liquor store with bars over the windows on every corner meant you were probably in a rough spot. That still holds true, but now vape shops have entered the mix in the same capacity. Broken glass on the top of cement and or brick walls. X200B. Bars on windows and doors are fancy. When you get to cement walls with broken beer bottles planted into them, you have def arrived. I was in a part of Detroit once where they put steel bars over the windows of the semi-trucks when they were parked and locked them with big padlocks. That was a clue it wasn't a good area. The cockroaches are really bad, like, so bad they dress in one color, call themselves roach gangs and carry pocket knives and firearms, and you just know, they will cut you, man. The convenience store sells cheap socks right by the spray paint. They sell those paper flowers in glass tubes. They have those glass collectibles that are obviously crack pipes. Whenever I come across large groups of people standing around at intersections or little kids running around in the street seemingly unattended, I admit I start to get the willies. Women with beige skin and poker straightened hair unloading boxes of salad from oversized cars and itty-bitty mutant dogs yipping at you from handbags. Run! Don't walk! Run! Close-up buildings wooded up. Kind of dead looking. Dirty and destroyed looking. Like literal trash on the streets. A lot of police patrolling streets or sitting at stores, a strip mall with a payday loan shop, Dollar General, pawn shop, a beer and liquor store, a used tire shop, and used car dealership offering everyone financing internally. Lack of families walking around. If the residents aren't walking their kids to a play area or a corner store, it's a sign that even the people living there don't feel safe. Guys fixing their cars on the sidewalk, or in AutoZone parking lots. I love to work on my car, but I would do anything to avoid putting up on stands in a public place. If you see people jogging, then it might be a sign that you're in a neighborhood where people feel safe. If you never see anyone jogging, then it might be a red flag. Bass music and engine revs. A souped up car is a rolling red flag. You start jiggling like a Midwestern potluck when the car goes past. You know you're in a bad spot. Asking for a cab to the area and the cabbie explains you'll have to get out while he's moving, because he won't stop in that area. True story. An area of Glasgow. Cashiers are behind a bulletproof glass window at the local convenience store or fast food joint. Bonus if they have chilled malt liquor at the front of the store. Y'all should check out this channel if you want to see what hoods look like with no dialogue. Charlie Bo 313